back in. Today, we are following major breaking news out of Tremonton, where 2 police officers were killed in the line of duty. We've got Sheriff Park live at the scene of the shooting right now. Sheriff, can you tell us what's happening right there?
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of investigating going on here at the house. Obviously, the crime tape is up. We've got windows that are broken out at the house, but we've got the Box Elder deputy who is at the hospital, the one that was involved and injured and survived this, and the canine that was also injured at a vet. But let's go out to Brian Carlson right now, who has been here since early this morning to walk us through the details of this situation. Brian, really heartbreaking, sad situation to have 2 officers killed in the line of duty here.
Yeah, for these people here in Box Elder County, it's not something they have seen, I don't think, in their entire lifetime here in Box Elder County. And for us here at home, not only are we seeing the house here where these officers are gunned down, we're also seeing video that these neighbors took of the aftermath that occurred afterwards. And I spoke to that neighbor, at least one of them, who was the last person who may have talked to that first officer killed while he was alive.
This is how it looked last night, shortly after 2 Tremonton Garland officers lost their lives, reportedly at the hands of an armed gunman.
Upon arrival, they immediately began taking fire. They requested additional units and then stopped answering their radio.
Oh, I hear them smashing windows.
A neighbor now sharing with KSL video he took of the roughly 50 officers who came to help them. It started just after 9 p.m. Police say the first officer had received several 911 hang-up calls traced to this Tremonton neighborhood next to North Park Elementary. Neighbor Tyson Taylor tells me that he spoke to that officer trying to find who needed help.
And he just said, "Are you pushing the button for distress on your phone?" I'm just like, "No, I'm not doing that." So I showed him my phone. And then he just drove off around the block. He's like, "I'm just trying to find this distress call. I hope it would be an easy night," or whatever, just something like that.
Minutes later, Taylor says he heard gunshots and drove around the corner to find the officer still alive.
He was just on the corner, and I said, "Hey, I heard some fireworks," or it sounded like fireworks. He told me, "No, your neighbor on the corner is shooting his guns, and it's an active shooter right now." He says, "You need to go home and get in your home."
Moments later, Taylor heard more gunshots and learned the officer and a second Tremonton Garland officer were both shot and killed right there at the scene, while a Box Elder County Sheriff's deputy arriving with his police dog were both shot and injured. Brigham City Police now revealing the officers and deputy were responding to a domestic disturbance.
They really are unknown. We don't know what we're walking into, and they are one of the most dangerous events we can be dispatched on.
So far, unclear why the alleged gunman who lives at the home reportedly opened fire on the officers, but police say it was bystanders who actually convinced the man to surrender to the dozens of officers of Logan to Ogden who arrived shortly after.
Those acquaintances and relationships probably played a key role into that.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And here is another shooting that happened a couple of months ago where a white man opened fire on officers, killing 2, wounding another, and shot the canine dog. And this video has received little coverage. And so I am going to show you who this man is. In Utah, they say they can't release the photo of a suspect until the court date, but I've obtained that photo. But I'm also going to show you court footage of this man in court, trying to play the sympathetic role. Now, you heard them say that the officers received several hang-up calls, and this happened in Tremonton, Utah. Tremonton, Utah has a 86% white population and a 0.3% African-American population. So we would venture to say that this shooter is white. But when they got there, you heard them say that the neighbors started shooting. They couldn't find out who was making the distress calls. And when the neighbors started shooting, I guess they went to his house, and then he opened fire, ambushing the 2 officers. Now, once again, we have heard nothing about this, no back the blue, no protect officers, no presidential address about the senseless, heinous nature of these 2 police officers. Now, just let me show you the photo of this man real quick. This is 32-year-old Ryan Michael Bate. And he is the 32-year-old shooter who owns a firearm store out in Utah. And this is one of the recent pictures of his court appearance, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But despite the heinous nature of this crime, there is no condemnation of violent criminal, thug, savage, none of that. As you're about to see, the continuation of that news article once again focuses on the sympathy-laden narrative of the death of the officers, not the heinousness of the crime. Check this out, and this video is used in fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
And that's one of the most amazing aspects of this story, is that those bystanders are able to convince the shooter to be able to surrender. Now, we know that suspected shooter has been booked into the Box Elder County Jail on charges of aggravated murder. KSL is confident we know his identity, but we're waiting for police or the jail to confirm that it's him. Live here in Tremonton, Cher, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Brian, so hard to hear all the description of what unfolded there. Well, let's keep our focus on these officers who were killed in the line of duty. You know, as the community wraps their arms around their families, around these police departments, the Tremonton Garland Police Department, but you're hearing today reaction from the community and from agencies around the state, right, as they step in to support this agency. We're hearing from different cities, different police departments. I wanted to read some of these statements that we've seen come out today. Sandy City Mayor Monica Zoltansky issued a statement today. I want to read this to you. The Sandy Police Department extends our deepest condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of the two Tremonton police officers who were tragically killed in the line of duty. We also send our prayers for healing to the Box Elder County Sheriff's deputy and his K-9 partner who were injured. The senseless act of violence is a heartbreaking reminder of the risk law enforcement officers face every day to protect their communities. We stand in solidarity with the Tremonton Garland Police Department, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, and the entire Tremonton community as they grieve this devastating loss. May the sacrifices of these fallen officers never be forgotten. And then the Santaquin Fire and EMS shared this statement. You'll remember it was Santaquin. They lost Sergeant Bill Hoosier May 5th of 2024. It's a really bad day when a post like this must be written. 2 officers were shot and killed last night, and 2 others, including a K-9 officer from nearby agencies, were wounded. The men and women of Santaquin Fire Department stand and mourn with our brothers and sisters in Tremonton Fire and Police Departments. We know how you are feeling because we have stood in your shoes. This is so difficult in any department, but small departments, I'm sorry, it hits differently. We invite your thoughts, prayers, and support for the good people in these communities who have suffered such a devastating loss. I'm sorry, you know what, I won't apologize. I am not sorry because I am from Utah. And I feel for these communities and I feel for these departments. And I work with these police officers. I may not know these two, but I know the law enforcement community and I feel for them too. So my reaction is genuine for these officers and their families. And I'm thinking about them today. So this is a hard day for Utah. This is a hard day for our communities and it's a hard day for law enforcement. And I too feel for them. So Tamara, I'm gonna send it back to you and collect my thoughts for a moment here. Because it is hard. It's hard. We lost 2 people here in Utah, senseless, and I feel for their families.
All right, so we are going to stop it right there, where the news reporter could barely read the statements from everyone expressing sympathy for the officers. She's so heartbroken and sympathetic, but no anger, no malice towards the people who did this. Why, as I always point out, because when white people commit crimes, they focus more on the victims rather than the heinousness of the crime. And what's most, once again, disturbing about this is they said even though 50 officers came to help those officers who had already been killed and wounded, bystanders, neighbors had to talk him down, had to convince him to give up. Where is all the barrage of gunfire and bullets that we see directed towards black people when they just mention the word gun. This guy has shot 2 officers, and you're begging and pleading and you're coaxing him out with cupcakes and cookies to get him arrested for the cold-blooded ambush-like murder of 2 officers. And you even heard the news reporter say, okay, well, forget all the crime. Let's focus on the officers. And that is, once again, a narrative that has been used to minimalize white criminality, white violence, white savagery, and maximize the human feeling of loss and emotion due to the loss of life, not why this life was lost. And now just take a picture of this white man in court trying to garner that same sympathy after committing a heinous, senseless act of violence. And once again, this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
Thanks for joining us here on Midday. I'm Matt Fonz. Alyssa Royster is out on assignment. We begin this afternoon with the first court appearance for the man accused of shooting and killing those 2 officers in Tremonton. ABC4's Jonathan May is following the very latest for us.
Ryan Bate appeared before a judge today virtually less than 1 week after 2 Tremonton police officers were shot and killed. Amidst the long list of charges are aggravated murder and attempted murder. The judge let Bate know that the Box Elder County Attorney's Office is seeking the death penalty.
Are you Ryan Michael Bate, date of birth September 1st, 1992?
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge read the 20 charges. Bate faces 10 felonies, including 2 capital charges. Bate allegedly shot and killed Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorenson during a domestic disturbance at his home in Tremonton.
You are hereby on notice that they are seeking the death penalty for counts 2 and 3, aggravated murder.
The judge read Bate his rights. He barely spoke.
Mr. Bate, are you seeking to be appointed counsel to represent you in these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're currently in custody, and so you're not able to work. Do you have any assets or property that you could access to be able to retain counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Bate was appointed attorneys to represent him. Judge Walsh also signed a pretrial protective order for the alleged victims.
I know the allegations here are extremely serious, and it may take some additional time potentially to be prepared for that preliminary hearing.
Bates' preliminary hearing is scheduled for the morning of October 30th. Reporting in the control room, Jonathan May, ABC4 News.
All right, and so there you hear Ryan Michael Bate crying. Oh, yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor, like crying, trying to garner up that white sympathy, that white victimhood, that white, oh, I'm so sorry for my actions. I didn't know what I was doing. Fortunately, for the families of those people who were killed, that the judge didn't go for it. They're still charging him with capital murder, and they're seeking the death penalty. But what I want people to know is the failure or the lack of national exposure of this case is a major problem, because we keep seeing white men ambush and kill police officers and mass shooting, and they never focus on the violence. They're never talking about bringing the National Guard or, protecting the police. But as soon as a black person runs from the police, they get shot down, and they use this. Well, police officers put their lives on the line every day. Police officers have a dangerous job, when dealing with other white men. Once again, black men are not ambushing police like this. Like, this guy set the police up, calling several times. And like they said, they don't have a motive. This guy just wanted to kill. As I mentioned, a lot of times that, there's an innate desire of these ranchers, these outdoorsmen. Once again, he owned a firearm shop. Firearms are meant to kill and cause destruction. They've been used as tools of destruction and mayhem ever since the white man went over there to Africa with them and started conquering. So much so that, when there's nothing else to conquer, they have to use the tools of destruction on each other, as we see here, as we see in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Revolutionary War. There's just an innate desire to take life, and it seems like this is being perpetrated on the police officers. But once again, every time that a black man gets in trouble or fights the police, it is maximized as this is why we need to be tough on crime. This is why police officers shot him. This is why when really it can't be further from the truth. Once again, there was a big rally out in California a couple of months ago where white men are saying, white men fight back. White men fight back. Evidently, the white men are fighting back against other white men, many of them with badges, many of them victims of mass shootings in churches and restaurants and bars and things of that nature. So I just wanted to bring this to light because we've heard nothing about this on the mainstream media, on the national media, no presidential addresses, no governmental conferences, no Senate hearings on the cataclysmic events of violence against police officers by white men. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. And please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And I thank you guys for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, you see the number 919-587-7782. And I pray you have peace and blessings. Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.